Hey, how's it going? It's Nick here, and it's been a long time since my last print. Actually, it's been like over a month since I've last printed anything, and so I've kind of been itching to get back into the game. All the fires have been put out for now in the gallery, and so it's time for me to kind of sit down and make some prints. And so today is Labor Day. I had a day off, and so I decided, you know what, maybe I'll do something quick. And so what's been on my mind? Well, there's a lot of cats in the neighborhood, and so I figured maybe I'll do a cat print. But I didn't find any good black and white cats in my neighborhood. There's a lot of black cats, there's a lot of colorful cats. And so I'm doing a print of my friend Rachel's cat Moya because he is a very nice black and white cat. And this might be my first time ever doing a print with a cat in it. I've for sure, I've done frogs, fish, and squirrels, but I don't think I've ever done like a cat or a dog or anything like that before. And so it was a very fun experience. It was very fun to do the mark making, you know, just kind of the texture of the fur with the marks of the carving tool. You know, I kind of apologize that the block is just kind of rotating every which way, so it kind of takes a hard way to, it's kind of hard to look at it sometimes. But, you know, I'm trying to be very intentional with the direction of my line, making sure that they all kind of like line up to go like, you know, like fur just kind of traveling down an animal. But hey, you want to know what else I've been up to? I've been cooking a little bit, and guess what? I made pancakes for the first time ever, and I'm gonna be honest, they did not turn out very great. I also undercooked them, and so it wasn't an overall great food, but it was very fun to try and make pancakes for the first time. I really enjoyed it. This is what I get for straying away from the way of the waffle. I'm sorry, Priscilla, but overall, good time. Here's a picture. I didn't really take any videos of it. Maybe I'll do a cooking stream one day. I have since learned that I should not cook them for so little time, and I also should not mix the batter too much because I think I overmixed it and it was very smooth batter. Anyway, back to the print. While I was carving, I did find it very weird that my hand was kind of a little bit cramping. And I had some trouble carving. It was just kind of like my hand had forgotten how to carve after so long. After that, like, probably like 2 months break between my last carving. I don't know, it was very weird. I kind of just like kept flipping the tool in my hand over and over again, just being like, I don't remember how I used to hold this. Fun times. Hopefully I'll get back into the hang of it soon. Oh yeah, and I lost the calluses on my finger from when I was carving it so much. So anyway, now that the carving's done, let's go ahead and get printing. As for paper, I found a few scrap pieces of Hosho and something, I want to say it's like Arch Lightweight, or maybe like a really thin like Reeves Dillon or something like that. But anyway, it was really thin and flexible. I already know that thick paper doesn't go out too well, thick and texture paper, and so I figured I'd give some of these a shot. As far as inks go, I figured I'd give this Cranfield tube a shot. I know it's like pretty, you know, on the loosish side, but not super loose, and it doesn't have a super high tack, and so I figured it might be nice for hand printing. I have some other inks for some modifiers in case I need to, but we'll just give straight out of the tube a shot. I'm also testing out a new brayer that I made. It has a 3D printed core, so it's really light and not too much rubber, and it's got a really nice big piece of brass so it can kind of sit on without rolling around the table. I think that was my mess up from last time, and so I don't know, it's pretty cool. I like it. Black and gold is the way to go. And so I have on my brayer what I would consider to be a normal amount of ink if I was to be printing with a press, and we're just gonna roll it up and see what happens. And the nice thing about this brayer is it has a huge rollout, and so I don't really need to keep rolling it back and forth with a slab to put down a lot of ink. It just has so much ink on this brayer that I can just keep rolling it around and it'll distribute it nice and well. The block does not want to sit very still while on this folding table though. Well, since the block's inked up, let's go ahead and give it a shot. I cut my paper to be a little bit oversized, and so we're just going to kind of drop in pray that it's kind of centered-ish. If not, I'll just trim it down later. And I'm not entirely sure how hard I'm supposed to be pushing on here. I'm definitely pressing into it rather firmly to make sure that it makes contact. I'm also noticing that it's tugging the sheet of paper with it a little bit, and so I tried a piece of newsprint on top to kind of help alleviate the paper being kind of dragged around with my spoon, but it didn't seem to help too much. It still looked like my good paper was moving around a little bit. And so I figured I'd just keep running with it. We'll see what happens. You know, it's the first one anyway. And as I feared, it looks like the paper did shift a little bit. I kind of have a little like a double drop effect. So the first thing I'm going to try is adding more ink, because there's not too much more ink on the block left, and maybe a bit more ink on the block will help kind of grab the paper and prevent it from shifting around so much. And so right now my brayer is definitely more ink than I would ever use if I was printing on a press. And hopefully this gives me some better results. And so this time I'm just going to use a piece of copy paper instead of newsprint, and I'm just going to do a test print. And as I'm spooning it, I'm pressing down a bit harder, and you can kind of see the image of the print just kind of peeking through this piece of copy paper. And it's definitely not shifted as much as it did last time. So let's go ahead and see how it did. And well, it's looking a lot richer and a lot more consistent. I feel like I missed a few spots, but overall, there's definitely a lot better print. And so now that that's sorted out, we're gonna go round 2 for this piece of paper here. And I think I did a little bit of a better job grabbing onto the matrix and not shifting around too much, but overall it still did shift a little bit, and I think maybe it's just, this paper is super textured, and so maybe that texture is just kind of preventing it from getting a good grab onto the ink. I'm not quite sure, so let's go ahead and give the whole show a shot. It's a bit smoother and a bit more thinner of a piece of paper than this one. And right off the bat, I can tell that the whole show definitely sticks to the matrix a lot better than that other mystery sheet of paper did. And so I feel like this one is going to have a lot of good luck in it. Also, this paper is slightly translucent, so I can kind of see the image kind of peek through the paper as I press into it a lot better than I did with the other sheets of paper. And so that was a nice thing too. I can kind of like a sort of like indicator to see how far along that I was going. Oh yeah, also the spoon. I had a metal spoon and I was going to give them a shot, but I actually ended up liking the spoon a lot. It was just a random spoon that I got with like my mixing bowl at Walmart, and so I don't know, it just has like a nice very like round circular kind of pattern to like the bowl part of the spoon. Anyway, how did it turn out? Well, I think we have a winner. This one actually turned out really well. No double drop, weird effect like that. Other than I missed that one little bottom right corner. But overall, hand printing isn't quite as tedious as I had built it up in my head. It was actually not too bad, kind of relaxing. I think I'd do it again. The only main thing that annoys me is that I can't really use my choice of paper on it. That really nice thick cardstock that I usually like to use just doesn't suit well to hand printing. All that's left is to clean up. And so I'm just going to kind of scrape and save as much of this ink that I rolled out and just kind of put it into some saran wrap. It definitely wasn't as much ink as I thought it was, but I feel bad for wasting ink. And after that, I'm going to go ahead and pour some oil all over the slab to kind of help loosen off that ink. I'm going to use mineral oil because it's at Walmart, and I'm going to go ahead and kind of work it into whatever's left on the palette. And then I'm going to roll my brayer around in it and give my brayer a minute for that oil to kind of soak in and loosen up the ink. And after a quick slab wipe down, we're going to go ahead and clean the brayer. And I'm just going to do kind of some oil on the rag and just use that oily rag to wipe off as much ink as I can. Or at least until there's no ink wiping up onto my blue towel. And so a few minutes of scrubbing later, I've got myself like a nice clean brayer. And I'm just going to give it some 409 degreasing spray onto a blue rag and just gonna wipe it down to just get the last of that oil off. There was definitely some ink on my table just because I had so much ink on my brayer. The brayer was kind of flinging little specks of ink around all over the place, and so I definitely had to scrub down my table after that. Whoopsies, well, now I know. Well, anyway, I hope you enjoyed coming along for the adventure for me on this very quick print. There's lots of projects kind of coming up soon, and so it might take a while, but you know, keep sticking around. I'm not gone forever. I'll be back every now and then to post a video. And if you stick around this long, here's the video of the squirrel I saw on campus. Bye!